Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you for attending this presentation. My name is José Saúl González-Campos and I will be presenting today the advances in this work GTCards, a video game for learning geometric transformations, which is a study jointly developed with Dr. Joan Arnedo-Moreno and Dr. Jórdi Sánchez-Navarro from the Universitat Oberta de Catalunya. Geometric transformations are an important topic in education in diverse professional fields. At school, they are taught from elementary to higher education. They are somehow intuitive in our everyday interaction with the real world, but it is not uncommon that students have issues and some troubles to understand their visual effect on objects. This study is focused on higher education and particularly on computer graphics education. I have a long time of teaching computer graphics at the undergraduate level, and it has been a sort of personal motivation to research the teaching strategies that could make easier for students the learning of geometric transformations. In higher education, the study of geometric transformations is very formal. It includes 2D and 3D, and the analytical methods rely more on linear algebra and matrix representation than geometry. Um, it is commonly used software like the dynamic geometry or CAD systems or modeling or design software, and also programming with 3D libraries like OpenGL or DirectX, and it includes programming video games. In our study, we focus on a specific type of exercise that we call before and after, because a 2D or 3D model is presented in two states, the initial one and the final one. So the student needs to find out a sequence of transformations that converts the model to the final conditions. Here we have a scheme with the idea of this kind of exercise. You can see that we have some information associated with both states, and then by applying a transformation that represents a solution, we get the desired result. Also, the exercise needs to provide some visual clues as well as some explicit numbers. We call them visual information and numeric information, and it is supposed that we must provide the minimum information needed to solve the exercise. This is an example of a real exercise. Students sees this information and tries to build the sequence that solve it. And now the solution to the problem is provided as a matrix multiplication to transform the object. Here we have a sequence of 6 steps that are necessary to reach the final state. Now we wanted to automate the computer generation of the exercises, reduce the numeric information, and present it in a ludic or fun environment. We reduce from infinite to a discrete number of combinations and possible scenarios for the exercises. We limited the variety of geometry transformations parameters. We limited the views, and we limited the models. So with these restrictions in place, the students should infer the numerical information from the visual information. We put heavy constraints on the transformations parameters, This table shows all the options which are very limited. For example, rotations only in multiples of 45 degrees, scales just two cases, double or half, and translations just a single distance. We demonstrated that even with these limitations, it is possible to generate a big amount of different exercises. We also put constraints on the views. Any solution of a learning exercise will lead to some of these 10 symmetric rotations, and the model itself is always a cube. We propose some requirements for the educational tool supporting the before and after type of exercise. For example, visualize the effect of applying the geometric transformations, free experimenting with the composition, a strong connection between transformation and the matrix representation, highlight the non-commutative property of composition. The complexity level should be adjustable. We should have many exercises that could be derived from simple base cases. The environment should stimulate the learning by doing, and a game interface is desirable. The visual design of the model helps to reduce the numeric information of the exercise with some elements. For example, scales are better recognized through the cube symmetry and also with the circular pattern, looking for distortion on it. Rotations are better recognized with the different colors of the faces, and also through the integrated 3D axis. Translations are easily noticed in the XY plane, and at some extent in the Z direction through the perspective effect. And the embossed style of the faces and a slight perspective projection help players identify easily the cube orientation in 3D space, even in the case of frontal views. Okay, regarding the cards design, we have incorporated visual elements as well as embedded numeric information. For example, the colors means some specific axis, or in the case of purple, it means that more than one axis is involved in one transformation. Also, we have selected some icons that resemble those available in design modeling software to visually identify the type of transformations. And the numeric information is very explicit when it is needed. For example, the number of degrees of rotation, the factor of scales, or the distances in translations. Here we have the game mechanics. The player is presented with a fixed number of cards in the deck zone. Each card has an associated transformation. The player can drag and drop cards in the sequence zone at any time and in any order. When the sequence zone is full, the game plays the sequence step by step, animating the 3D model. If sequence is correct and matches the goal, the game rewards the player and continue with another challenge. And the level of difficulty is automatically controlled. It starts being easy and gradually increases the exercise's complexity. The difficulty can be controlled or adjusted through different factors. For example, the ratio between the number of cards in the deck zone and the number of steps in the solution. Also, the kind of transformation needed in a solution and the time available to solve an exercise. Okay, our conclusions and future work. The game prototype fulfills the proposed requirements. It is especially tailored to higher education, computer graphics in particular. We have a wide selection of exercises. We calculated about 350,000 exercises available. Well, our prototype will be tested in the classroom this coming spring, and students' feedback and performance will be analyzed to adjust the game and to measure the benefits. And we are considering some extensions to the game mechanics. For example, machine learning tools to control and adjust the level of difficulty, and include another models or provide alternative solutions, and allow manual selection of the cards appearing in the deck, among others. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. I will be glad to see any comment or answer any question you might have. Okay, goodbye to everyone.